Hey guys, y'all know I don't like getting into politics or getting into anything else that's outside of God on this channel, but I've been wanting to make a video about I've made several relationship videos, right? And I feel like I don't know. It's it's hard to explain. You know when you have a message and you just want to talk to other women about certain things, because I really feel like it's like, because I talk mostly to women. Most of my viewers are women. There's some men here too, so shout out to y'all. But y'all, this thing with, I will just call them the Jacksons. I feel like if y'all keep up with relationship gurus, then y'all know who I'm talking about. Ladies, can I talk to y'all, like, and just have a heart to heart as a woman who was formerly in the world, as a young woman who God has guided me. He's literally told me he wants me to start dating, but of course they have to be approved through him, because there is a person that he has for me to eventually marry. And me and the father have gone back and forth on this, because I'm not, as they say, I don't know how to say it. I'm not in a rush to be married. At one point when I was younger, I kind of feel like I was like, oh my God, what if I'm going to be with my high school sweetheart? What if I'm going to be with this person forever? And it was a bunch, not even a bunch, maybe two dudes who I was like, oh Lord, he's the one. And the father had given me dreams. He had given me their actions, even out of their mouths, that no, this isn't going to go the way you think it's going to go. And if you, excuse me, I don't know why I always get like heartburn when I'm on here, but if you already have some trauma from certain things that have happened to you, and you are still a young woman who has not gone through therapy, who has not gone through the proper spiritual healing that you need, sometimes it can be very, very hard for us to get out of relationships that God never ordained us to be in to begin with. Now, am I saying this is the case with this particular couple? I don't know if God said this is the one or not, but what I can tell you from the fruit that the soon-to-be ex-husband has bared, why did we, some of us, not all of us, applaud the soon-to-be ex-wife for staying? Why did some of us, I don't know, because I've seen so many videos, so many TikToks, so many Instagram stories about some Christian women applauding her for staying in this. But and initially she did leave, so I just want to preface that. And they decided on their own to get counseling. It just didn't work, so now they're getting a divorce. And I'm like, from some of the things that she posted, there was a lot of psychological trauma, as well as physical trauma and emotional trauma, that during their time together in their marriage, he continued to perpetuate by pointing out her flaws, by consistently not only sleeping with multiple other women, but there were certain posts on this person's social media that indicated she still had trauma from being SA'd, which is somebody took advantage of her at a very young age, and she had not recovered from that. And instead of looking outside of herself, she would typically refer to her marriage and all this, and how it affected her marriage and this. And it irks me, because in the Bible, men are supposed to love their wives like Christ loves the church, right? So what did the Lord do for the church? He walked all over creation to perform miracles. He walked all over creation with his disciples, telling them to forgive, to love, to find peace. He did so much for us, to the point sometimes it really just brings me to tears how good Jesus is. And we're made of flesh, so no, we're not perfect, and I'm not judging anybody in the situation. I just feel like as women, we need to be teaching younger women about red flags better, instead of always saying, well, stay married, don't break your biblical covenant, can we talk about the husband who's already broken that covenant several times? Can we talk about the husband who has brought not only the spirit of fornication, but the spirit of adultery into the marriage by laying down with other women, therefore bringing in other spirits into the bedroom and sharing those spirits with his wife when they lay down together, if they choose to do so? Can we talk about if the man feels, or woman, because it'd be women out here doing the same thing too, if there's a man or a woman cheating, that they are bringing those spirits into the marriage, spirits of insecurity, spirit spouses. Spirit spouses will literally make you hate your wife, make you hate your husband, will do anything to see y'all broken up, right? But there's only so much we can put on those spirits, because if we are in our word and if we are going to God, because even when Jesus got tired, he rested, but he prayed unto the Father. When many of the prophets got tired, particularly some of the men, even the women in the Bible, they went and they prayed to God. They got wise counsel. They weren't just out here doing what their flesh wanted them to do. And it seems like for most of us Christian women, marriage seems to be the end goal. I'm not going to say all of us, but it's almost like some of us are trained to stay through the trauma. Some of us are trained to stay through the divorce. And by trained, I mean from a young age, we're hearing, keep yourself pure, keep yourself chaste in case, the Lord sends the right man. Stay at home, read your Bible, don't be out here being worldly. So it's like we can be perfect for our husband. I'm not saying that a man or a woman deserves a corrupt spouse. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, when we look at these marriages and these men are psychologically abusing us, emotionally abusing us, some men pretend to be Christian just so they can get a God-fearing, godly wife. And then they take advantage of the fact that she's always going to be on her knees before the Father petitioning, Lord, please save my marriage. Please save my husband. But he's out here, or your wife is out here if you're a God-fearing man, and they're doing the horizontal mambo with every male or female out here who has a Jezebel spirit. So now they're bringing that spirit into your marriage too, have you acting out of character, and they're going to continue to be out of character. And typically with people who have like a lot of ego, or they have a lot of, I call it self-inflation, because you built yourself up to think that you're something that you're not, and your image is more important. So not your faith in God, not your marriage, but your image is important. So being married to a person, whether male or female, and their image is important, they will do you so dirty and then want to save face in the public, and they will do anything they can not to get caught or get exposed. But once the exposure comes out and things hit the fan, they're going to try and save face the best way they can. And as a woman, if you've ever had a man embarrass you, ladies, I think you know what I mean. Fellas, I think y'all know what I mean too. If you've ever had a person, romantic interest, that embarrassed you like that, sometimes you put on the united front. Sometimes you will put things out there, whether it's social media or not, and you just want to make things not look as bad as they actually are, but things are going completely left. But I'm here to tell you that, because there's going to be many people who are saying, well, now they're going to be in adultery and all this. The husband in this case had been in adultery for quite some time. He had been fornicating with a marriage covenant with other women for quite some time. So yeah, and he's in alignment with Jezebel for quite some time. And there was just other things that I saw about this man. And in the Bible, like I said, you're supposed to love your spouse like Christ, right? Men who are supposed to be men of God are supposed to be loving, kind, caring, filled with the Holy Spirit, a true relationship with God, drunk in the bosom of their wife, not mistress, not girlfriend, but drunk in the bosom of their wife. Gosh, there's just so much that's in the Bible about the behavior of men and of women. And sometimes in marriage, I understand things do get rough. Things do get to the point where, well, do we want to work through it, or do we want to go our separate ways? And if a snake has bitten you 3 or 4 times and you still keep it as a pet and it still keeps biting you, but when your friends come over, you put on your gloves to handle the snake to try and prove that the snake isn't deadly and it's not biting you, but then you take off the gloves when they leave and it continues biting you, would you still want that snake as a pet? And I feel like as Christian women, we don't want to be have a broken covenant, especially like with a marriage covenant. I said when Father presents me to the right man, I'm only getting married once. And that's me personally. I said, Lord, this has to be a one and done, because I'm not going to take vows before you, specifically the Lord and Jesus, looking down on me, taking these vows, being present at my wedding in spirit, and not mean what I say when I say I'm going to take care of this person, right? So there are too many stories of us, Christian women, being in these abusive marriages, being in these emotionally abusive marriages, being with men who are not producing the fruits of God. And some of us are cheering them on because they're staying because they got a husband. They were presented with a husband. And outside of that, it's like you hear, well, she chose to stay in her marriage. She chose to work it out. You have no right to judge her. And I agree with that. Nobody has the right to judge anybody for staying with the person they want to stay with. But there are many of us who are married to women or men that we shouldn't have married to begin with, because we did not go through the proper pruning process that God needed us to go through. We did not go through the proper steps of healing some of the psychological and traumatic issues that we had. Some of us are really trauma bonded to our spouses versus sitting and looking at, did I marry them because this was God ordained, or did I marry them because this was the person that I was dating and fell in love with, but I never checked with God to see, was this person the one? Or instead of looking at the red flags like, oh, she's dismissive of my hopes and dreams, or he's dismissive of my hopes and dreams, he or she is always putting me down, he or she will be sweet to me one day but then turn into a monster the next day, and I have to walk on eggshells, but I'm so in love. And it's like, does that sound like the love of Christ to y'all? Does that sound like this is who the Father wants you to be with? I've seen some very godly marriages that have weathered cheating, that have weathered other things like abuse. But for the ones that were not God ordained, and I'm specifically talking about the ones that looks can be deceiving, because just because somebody slaps Christian on something doesn't mean that it's Christian or that it's godly, right? And if we marry these people who are Christian in name only, so they just slap Christian on them, and then their fruits are the opposite, are you going to continue thinking that they're Christian? I will say that the wife in this situation is a very God-fearing woman, and my heart goes out to her because I know how that feels. But having said that, I can't sit here and say and applaud some of us staying in relationships that God did not call us to be in. I can't sit here and applaud the fact that, I don't know, it's not black and white. Nothing is ever black and white. So it's just like knowing that there are women out here right now who are married to pastors, priests, men who present themselves as gentlemen, bishops, good Christian men who behind closed doors are treating you like you're less than old carpet. And some of us are sitting here like, well, work it out. There's a Christian therapist that I follow, and I might link her if I find her page. But there's a way to talk to a person who's going through things like this without throwing the Bible in their face consistently. And what I'm saying is, of course, always go to the Lord with anything, y'all. Y'all know I'm always about that. But all of this, it kind of feels like we're pandering to situations and applauding situations that we are on here telling other women not to fall into. because they just happen to be married. And I'm just like, I can't sit here with a good heart and a good conscience and tell y'all, yeah, the father doesn't want y'all in adultery, but the man that you're married to has already broken your marriage covenant several times. The man that you're married to has no signs of changing. The man that you're married to only wants to save his image and not actually save his marriage. The man that you're married to might still have a mistress or a girlfriend on the side, and he's actually waiting to slap you with some divorce papers. The man that you're married to, or woman that you're married to, but in this situation I'm talking about, it's a man. But like I said, it goes either way. So if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if it applies, just go before the Father about how you need to move. I will say that. And the person that you're married to is not producing the fruits and the works of the Lord. The person that you're married to, once they went to counseling, they only did it enough to make you feel like you can be secure again, but they didn't stop their antics. The person that you're married to is still texting other people. They're still calling other people. They still might be going out on dates behind your back. They're still putting you down. They're still using your trauma against you, because there's some women who go through that, men too, who you'll confide your trauma into somebody, and they will use that against you. Oh, because of your trauma, I want to do this, that, and the third with you, but you won't allow me to. That's using somebody's trauma against them. So that's a form of manipulation. These are not people that are producing the fruits of the Lord, even with counseling and help. If you decide to stay within the confines of that covenant, do you think the Lord wants you, man of God, woman of God, to continue on with the person who is repeatedly, like the snake, continually biting you or showing you that they aren't going to change, or they change just enough to get you hooked to stay just so they can keep abusing you? Do you honestly think the Father wants you in that type of situation? Because I'm here to tell you, when you pray and ask him, Father, do you want me here? What do you think he's going to say to that? Honestly, are they producing the fruit of a marriage that he described in his word? Is this person continually hurting you? Were you even supposed to be with this person? So there's so much to it. So I will say, please keep any man or woman that you know that is going through this situation uplifted in prayer. Ask for their healing. Ask for their mental restoration. Ask that any insecurities be removed. Ask that their heart is healed. Ask that their children are healed and their children will be whole. Ask that they themselves be restored and be made whole. But I just wish sometimes as Christian women we would get on here and not front when it comes to marriage, because some of us are just like, marriage is so good, marriage is so great, and then you got these prophets coming out and they're not producing the fruits of the Lord, the husband or the wife. And it's not to say that they are representatives of the Lord, because some of these people on here are not representatives of the Lord. And I'm not telling anybody to run out and get a divorce. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not telling anybody to break up with your partner. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, when it comes to dating and relationships, it's okay to wait a little longer than a lot of people for that spouse. So you're not having to go through this. And of course, in life, the Father is always going to guide you. He's always going to tell you, this person is for you. That person's not for you. This person's going to waste your time. I guarantee you, there's been times I've been with a gentleman that I was dating for some years, and the Lord consistently told me, that person's not for you. You're wasting your time. I already told you to break up with this person. You're going to get hurt. And what of me doing me, thinking, well, Father, I love him and he's not that bad of a person. It's not like he's treating me bad or anything. But there are so many red flags that I just chose to dismiss. And I feel like when you've been intimate with another person, not physically, but, mentally intimate, and you guys have really bonded, that it can be hard to leave that person. But if the Lord is telling you, I have somebody for you, that person isn't it. This person is going to hurt you. I don't want you in this. It breaks my heart, because some people will still enter into a covenant of marriage with that person and then get hurt so bad repeatedly that they lose their faith in love. They lose their faith in finding someone. Or sometimes as Christians, we're like taught to find a spouse. So, and it's particularly, I'll say it's more to, I'm a woman, so y'all, I'm speaking from a woman's perspective. That can be pushed on the women a lot. And it's just like, we feel like if we're not married or partnered by a certain age, then there's something wrong with us. Or, Father, why are you withholding such a gift from me? I've done all this work, I've done this and I've done that. But it's just like, are you doing that work because you love God or because you want him to present you with a man? And I feel like when it's the latter, wanting to be presented with a man, many of us get caught up with the ideas and the illusions that some of these men will put on for us. There are some women who act like that too. Like I said, if you're a man watching this. But I just want to tell y'all to be careful. And when it comes to marriage, it's never so black and white. And that, please wait on God. Please wait on God, because there's so many people out here who want to put a ring on a Christian woman's finger just to do her bad, because the spirits and the demons that they carry aren't in line with Christ, because they in their hearts are not in line with Christ. And I really think this is something we need to talk about more in the Christian women's community, is that there are just some people we are not meant to be with, and it's okay to wait a little longer for the gift that the Father wants to bestow to you. So this video ran 20 minutes. I didn't even mean for it to run that long. But like I said, just y'all stay prayed up, stay in your word, so you can know the deceptions and the spiritual deceptions in people who will be charismatic and put on for you just to get your time and attention, just so they can waste it, because there are spirits in them that really don't like you. And being married to you means they have free reign. They don't have free reign, because if you're covered by the blood of Jesus, but they'll use that person to nitpick at your insecurities, or emotionally abuse you, gaslight you. So that's all I'm saying, is always go to the Father with anything, even in marriage, because sometimes he's trying to break us away from a person who is slowly killing us, whether it's physically or spiritually. So like I said, y'all pray about that. Plead the blood of Jesus over your marriage. If you know your marriage is holy and protected by the Lord, and you might be feeling some things, always go before the Father. Father, reveal what's going on so we can get the help that we need. But I just wanted to make that video right quick, because I've lived it, I've learned it, and I know sometimes going to a female elder, they'll tell you to stay in it, even though the Lord is telling you to leave. And then sometimes the Lord will tell you that what this person is going through, and he does want you to stay, and he does want you to work it out. But with that said, like I said, just go to the Father with anything and everything that you do. Before some of this, it's just really know your word and know the actions, and listen to those actions. Listen to what comes out of somebody's mouth about themselves that they tell you, and believe it. But anyway, I love you guys. Like I said, I didn't really mean to make this political, but my bad. Love y'all. Y'all stay blessed.